My wide receiving buddy is Rashod Batman Bateman. I have been talking this dude up a lot this offseason, so I got to put my money where my mouth is and just throw him down on the docket as my guy because I'm not leaving almost any single best ball draft without him. And I will be doing everything in my power to get him in redraft, which is going to mean drafting him above his ADP. And I'll be taking him probably a round or two above that just because he's going as wide receiver 38. It's like nothing at that point. Wide receiver 38. Let me tell you, some gentlemen, that he's going around right now still. He's going after Tyler Lockett, even though we don't understand what the quarterback situation is in Seattle, and neither are probably going to be that great. He's going after Juju Smith-Schuster, who we think maybe is the number one receiver, but definitely the number two at best in that offense, and a lot of question marks. He's going after DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to be suspended for the first 6 games. He is not playing for half of your fantasy season. He's still going right now 5 spots above Rashod Bateman. I think that is absurd. We know for sure Bateman is the number one receiver on the Ravens team. I think he has a very good chance of being the number one overall. We saw last year, I understand Mark Andrews, and he's not going away, and I'm not saying that he's going to be bad, but I am saying that last year, Marquise Hollywood Brown actually out-targeted him on a per-game basis. Rashod Bateman has an amazing draft profile. Coming out of college, he was in the 94th percentile for breakout age. That basically just means, like, as a young buck, you are crushing it. You don't have to wait and get old like Velus Jones to do reasonable things at a college level. 88th percentile college dominator rating. He is a go up, get the ball kind of guy. We've seen him making a ton of those catches. I know it's training camp highlights, but let me get excited about that. Baltimore was 9th overall in pass attempts last year. Maybe that comes down a little bit. I can buy into that if we have proof that their running back depth chart is healthy, which right now we don't. Dobbins is off the PUP list, but they're still being pretty wishy-washy about what his real active status is. Gus Edwards, not going to be healthy for a long time. Coaching staff has come out and outright said that. So if you want to believe in Mike Davis, believe in Mike Davis. If you want to believe in late-round guy Tyler Batty like I do, that's fine. But we cannot assume full health at all for this backfield. Regardless of all of that, Marquise Brown, talked about him. He's now in Arizona. But last year, 146 targets, 91 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. This was with an ailing Rashod Bateman on the cast there. It's the other thing about Bateman. He didn't put up a crazy impressive rookie season because he was playing through injuries the entire time. Only played 10 games. In those 10 games, had a lot of injuries that he had to deal with. So I don't understand it. That ADP will never make sense to me. And I'm fine with it because I get to exploit it now. So in terms of wide receivers, I'm going to take the guy who I know for sure is the number one over these question marks that I noted ahead of him. I would, if I had to, easily take him at wide receiver 20. I won't have to, which is the great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just another thing of note, he basically only played part of his final season in college as well. So kind of like Jamar Chase really didn't play. It was that whole weird COVID season where the Big Ten first said they weren't going to play their season. Then they said they were, and they did, but shortened season. He decided he was going to play, but then opted out after a few games. So essentially his last season in college didn't play. So yeah, he came in maybe a little bit rusty, had some injuries because he wasn't necessarily in game shape. We don't know, but I think that's also something to keep in mind as well. He was very highly touted coming out of college, but he was a little bit football rusty maybe. And maybe that had something to do with why he didn't perform up to what maybe we thought he would last season. But I love that point with Hollywood gone now. He is the number one on the team. They drafted him. Didn't they draft him in the early second?
They did. So
So
the
I
draft
mean,
capital is certainly
is
there. I
there.
think he was
Yep.
like the 5th or 6th wide receiver taken overall, which clouds things a bit because, again, he wasn't Jamar Chase, and I get that.
Mhm.
But one quick thing, because you noticed, yeah, maybe he didn't play great last year. But honestly, here's my last little nugget. In the games that he actually played with Lamar Jackson when Huntley hadn't taken over, his 17-game pace, I know it's a pretty small sample size, but it was 107 targets, 90 receptions, 911 yards with Hollywood Brown playing. So per game basis there was not actually that bad, but we'll see what he can do this year.